Celeste Brown, Celestebrown.
And your relationship to Darrell?
He was like a second father to me, so family, friend, I guess is what you'd call it.
Okay. And is anyone else going to?
They won't be speaking.
Okay. Been about 24 hours. Just your thoughts on how the situation has unfolded so far, and your takeaways.
Right. So, one clear concern that we have and had yesterday is the fact that SAPD posted on their Facebook page, I guess, a press conference with Chief McManus 52 minutes before the family found out that he passed away. So the rest of San Antonio found out before we did. We were on our way to the hospital, and people are texting, "Sorry for your loss," and we hadn't even gotten the news from the physician. So, for starters, that's completely unacceptable. I mean, imagine, right? If any one of you lost your loved ones, you would want to be informed before the media was already painting a story, and before, frankly, Chief McManus was already painting a narrative. Before we even found out what happened, all we knew is that he had been shot. It took us forever to find out even what hospital he was taken to, and our understanding is that after he was shot, aid was not rendered for over 10 minutes, and officers kind of just stood over him while he continued to bleed. One of the neighbors, a nurse, was begging to come over to apply pressure, right, to render aid, because she warned them that if you do not, he will bleed out. And they told her to stay over there and to mind her business. So, right, when it comes to how we're doing, how would you be doing, right? If this was your family, how would you be doing if this was your family member? Anyone who has ever known Darrell Zemault Sr. knows that he would give you his last. He would give you the clothing off of his back. He takes care of this entire community. And so to see that, again, that the media, sorry, not the media, to see that SAPD has already started painting a narrative again long before we even knew that he had died, or was killed, was a huge issue.
Yesterday, Chief McManus said that he does not intend on releasing the body-worn camera video, and today I've seen on your Twitter you're calling for Mayor Nirenberg to ask the police department to publish this video
right
to the family, or would you be comfortable with the public seeing this?
To the family, because the family deserves truth and justice, right? We want to know what happened, because even today, it's really difficult to grieve when there's a lack of clarity as to how this went down, because it doesn't really make sense to me, right, that they claim that he was reaching for a weapon but was shot in the back. And also had bruises on his chest from a hematoma, which is believed to be because there were knees on his chest. So with that said, yes, we're basically calling on Mayor Nirenberg to keep the same energy he kept with Matias Ometu, the black man that was arrested while jogging. The same way he asked for the body camera footage then, we're asking for the body camera footage now. And I want to make very clear that when we spoke to the detective working our family's case yesterday, he told us we would need to submit an open records request for this information. But as you all are aware, as the press, you know that at current, the Attorney General does not have a mandate on the amount of days it takes them to respond. And I don't know if he thought that we didn't understand that, but when I mentioned that to him, so I said, "Are you telling me it would be an undetermined amount of time before the family gets to see this body camera footage?" And he said, "Ultimately, I can't put a day on it." So what I'm asking for is assistance there, because of the fact that in the middle of COVID, and as a community organizer myself, right, I never thought that this would hit my own family. I never thought that this would hit the people that I'm closest to. You know, I've been out yelling the names in rooms of policy change and in the streets for families that have lost their loved ones to police violence, and we never thought it would be ours. And so we're just asking for the same energy to be kept, because I believe, and I don't know if by the time this airs this will be the case, but I believe that the only council person that has even made a statement about it was Councilwoman Shirley Gonzalez. And so the silence is deafening, especially when it's someone that, you know, these elected officials know personally. Just last week, during Citizens to be Heard, I asked them, I said, "What will it take?" I said, "I could be next. My brother could be next. My father could be next." And my second father was murdered by SAPD yesterday. So yes, we demand that body camera footage, because how will we know peace if if SAPD is already putting out a narrative that they would like to, that he was this violent guy? But again, I encourage all of you, talk to anyone that lives within this neighborhood, and they'll tell you that that's not the case. They know a different Darrell Zemault Sr. than is already being painted out.
Have you seen the domestic violence reports that SAPD has put out? They put out 4 today. There was a warrant for stalking that the district clerk's office has also released, that sort of paint a picture of someone who had a number of incidents, some violent, with an ex-girlfriend going as far back as October of last year.
Right, and what I'll tell you to that is he was married to the love of his life for 30 years, Susie Zemault, that unfortunately passed away in her sleep in 2016 on Thanksgiving Day, and never in that 30 years of marriage was there ever a violent incident, was there ever even a verbally or emotionally abusive situation. And so if he was in love with the love of his life for 30 years, all I have to say is look at that. And I also urge you as media to take a look at the woman who has filed these complaints at her Facebook page, right, where she has posted that she is devastated because she has lost her love. So again, I say that yesterday, Chief McManus, during his press conference, stated that we do not have all of the details as of yet. So if you don't have all the details, maybe you should wait before you paint a narrative that's only half-baked.
I spoke with Councilwoman Gonzalez today, and she had said, you know, this could have been prevented. In an interview with me, she explained that she didn't have all the details, didn't know the details about the reports, hadn't seen the body-worn camera video. Do you agree with her that this could have been prevented?
Absolutely, this could have been prevented, right? And I urge anyone to know that anytime you call SAPD on someone, especially a black man, more times than not, this may end up being a violent encounter when it didn't have to be. 3 of the officers that pulled up in an unmarked vehicle in unmarked polos and shorts. I believe one of them was actually wearing a gray t-shirt and shorts. So this could have been prevented because this man has lived over here for over 25 years. He knows everyone in this neighborhood. So if you see strange people pulling out of an unmarked vehicle, of course your first reaction is going to be being startled. This absolutely could have been prevented. I wonder why these de-escalation tactics that SAPD seems to be so proud of weren't employed here, in the sense that why was a taser not used? Why was even a baton not used? Why was our first thing to shoot in the back? Because if you're shooting in the back, there is no imminent threat.
Would you be open to privately viewing the video with members of the department or city leaders if that opportunity existed?
Right now, we just want to see the video. So whatever that's going to take, we want to see the video.
Dallas, Arlington, Fort Worth, Austin, and now even Houston last week have begun to release body camera footage of fatal encounters between people and police departments. San Antonio hasn't even begun the process of establishing a policy. How far behind is San Antonio, and how does that make you feel?
San Antonio is years behind in a conversation that has been going on for so long. And if you think back to even our former mayor saying that we are not Ferguson, Missouri, and our current city council saying that we are not Minneapolis, I will argue that as a matter of fact, we are. You think of the names Anthony Scott, Marquise Jones, Gilbert Flores, etc. This is not a new issue for San Antonio. San Antonio is not even willing to have the conversation about equitably funding different departments within the city that prevent crime to begin with. And so San Antonio is extremely late. And again, as I mentioned, I'm a community organizer that hoped I'd never have to be speaking from this also as a family member. But we've been telling council in meetings, in public comments, in citizens to be heard. We have consistently told them they are years late to a conversation that has already been taking place. And as you mentioned, most major cities in Texas have made strides here when it comes to the accessibility of body camera footage. And though we understand that the Texas State Code doesn't necessarily require that it be released, we are asking that it is at the very least released to the family. Because if you can't release it to the family while you're out here painting this narrative and controlling what you would like to paint this person out to be, then you're not protecting and serving. And so I ask, who are you protecting and who are you serving if Darrell Zemault Sr. was shot in the back yesterday and left to bleed?
With regard to the allegations of domestic violence, I know you mentioned that the individual who he's alleged to have perpetrated the violence against is mourning his loss. Have you talked to her about any of these cases or any of these calls which she made to police?
Oh, absolutely not. We have nothing to say to her.
I'll get that microphone back for you, Celeste.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
As an activist, what are you going to do to change what is happening with this in San Antonio?
We're going to continue doing what we've been doing, right, which is pushing for the reallocation of funds. The city of San Antonio had a survey called SA Speak Up, right, that went out in July. We had a record number of 22,000 residents respond saying that their top priorities were public health, housing, and youth and senior services. However, at current, they're estimated to get about $57 million total in the budget, while policing is getting $487 million. So I ask, and what we will push for, is if our current system of policing is causing more harm than good, which according to the Texas Justice Initiative, they just released a a study that showed Bexar County ranks number 2 in the state when it comes to people being killed by officers. Number 2 in the state. And so we are going to continue to push back against that, right? Tomorrow's budget vote will be huge because now it's even more personal than it's ever been. Because if the city of San Antonio wants to say, and if city council wants to sit on the dais and say Black Lives Matter, wants to sit there and raise their fists the way that they did at the end of June before they went out for recess, but then say nothing when a black man is murdered in his own front yard, that's what we have to keep pushing for. Because if they're not willing to make the change and call it out, then they will be voted out. Because this is not a matter of politics. This is not a matter of your certain political beliefs or affiliations. This is about life lost. Right? A grandfather, a father, a second father, a brother is dead. And so we're not going to stop, right? We will keep hitting the streets. We will keep pushing for policy change. Because, again, as I mentioned last week during public comment, I told them, I said, more blood will be on your hands. We didn't think it would be as soon as this week. And I didn't think it would be Darrell Zemault Sr.
Today, people are out here from Reliable Revolutionaries and others.
And Black Futures Collective, yes.
Okay. Cleaning up.
Yeah, so to speak to that, right, we're seeing what community care looks like in action, where the organizers that have volunteered their time to help clean up the yard because SAPD left everything. There were tremendous amounts of blood, right, and his granddaughter is here now, and we didn't want her to walk up here and see that. So the community has really stepped up, has cleaned the yard, is helping us prepare for a vigil that we're having right here at 7:30 p.m. Because before we take to the streets, we need to first acknowledge that we are mourning, right? That he was taken from us. He was 55 years old, healthy, and helped his entire community. This was not one of those cases where someone has passed away from old age, but he was murdered by being shot in the back. So I think we're seeing what community care looks like, because the last thing that the family needs to be worried about right now is cleaning up their father's spilled blood from SAPD.
Any message to the council members that have been silent on this so far?
To the council members that have been silent, I just hope your vote speaks for you tomorrow. And I hope your comments speak for you tomorrow. And again, I'll state, right, like, frankly, they tend to be outspoken on certain issues, but their silence is deafening right now.
Again, thank you so much.
Thank y'all.